Hello folks, I hope you all are fine. Well, I'm fine too. So let us start with our biology series, and we are going to start with the very first chapter, which is the living world. So what happened that I went to this beautiful park, as you can see, and I was just walking by and I observed that there were people walking. Some came with their pets, some are just playing with the ball, and some are just randomly walking and all. So away in like very aesthetic thought came to my mind that what a beautiful world we live in. Okay, so that is a very beautiful living world. Of course it is, but then of course I'm a science teacher or student, you can say, always a student. So what happens that because of that, a very scientific thought again came to my mind that but what is living? I mean, what is the thing by which you can see it is a living? What indeed is life? So you may say, ma'am, opposite of non-living. Okay, so whatever is opposite of non-living is living. I may say, okay, fine, but don't you think this is a very technical answer which you have given? Give me something philosophical in the morning, you see. So then you see, ma'am, life is everywhere. You see, either you go to mountains, okay, and either you go to this rivers or oceans, okay, everywhere. And then I say yes. But again I question you that okay, life is everywhere, but non-living things, okay, so these are all the living things. But non-living things are also everywhere. As you can see here only that okay, these are the living things, right? But all the non-living things are also here. For example, this ball, this kite, okay, this painting, this car, this book. So how you are going to differentiate between the living and non-living, right? That is a big question. That how can you differentiate between the living and non-living? So you may say, ma'am, breathing, right? So I'll say, right. This is a one characteristic that you have observed, that whatever thing is breathing, it is living, and whoever or whatever is not breathing, it is non-living. But then I again ask you in question that is it the only character that is going to help you to differentiate between the living and non-living? No. So there are more than one characteristic, and this is what exactly which we are going to study, that what is living. Okay, how can you say that a person is living or not? So there are few characteristics and we are going to talk about few of them today. So very first one is called as growth. Now remember, you went to this marriage function or a family function where always there one auntie came up to you and say, oh, you've all grown up now, huh? When I saw you last time, how small you were, you don't have that much height, you have increased in body and height too. Is that a growth, the grown up which she talked? Was that the growth she talks about? This one? Yes, it is very much this growth only. Okay, so what indeed is growth now? So growth is something, now you remember there is a cell division process. Remember that? Yes, you have to. So in cell division, what happens? So if there is one cell, that particular cell is going to increase in size, and then it is going to divide into two cells. This is a process we call it cell division. Now, okay, listen very carefully. What could be growth? So as you can see, there is an increase in size, or I can write increase in mass. And because of that, at the end of the cell division, there is increase in number. As you can see, at starting it was 1, and at the end of this process, there is 2 cells. So there is increase in number. Now, what can you call it as a growth? So, increase in mass and increase in number, this twin characteristics together is called as growth. Why? Because see, right now I have talked about only one cell. You are a multicellular organism. Right? And all the cells in your body grows like this only. So that is why the cell division in you, where is increase in mass and number, is called it as a growth. Now does all living grow in same manner? So I would say no. For example, if you take our example, okay, let's just take example of us. So if we take example of any animal, chalo, not us, any animal. So what could be the, like, what could be the, you can say, the bar of growing? Okay, so we do have that. We animals grow up to certain age only. Certain age only, and that certain age is around, you can say, 20 to 22. Now remember that same auntie, if your height is not increased that much, she is going to tell you that, oh, you have to go for cycling, huh? Then your height will increase. But do it in your teens, because after that, it is not going to, make any difference. Was she right? She was right. Okay, unfortunately or fortunately, she was right, because we animals tend to grow up to certain age only. But now that you will say, but what if I got an accident and some of my cells are dead? Were they never going to grow again? Of course not. They are going to grow. Okay, so do not have to be that much dramatic in that case, because the repairing of your cell are going to happen, regrowth of that cell are going to happen, but the growth I'm talking about, it up to a certain, is about all over growth. Remember the adulting thing which we talked about? Okay, so that overall growth is going to happen up to a certain age only. Okay, but plants, my friends, remember this, plants have a very good life. I mean, you are going to be a little bit jealous of them, because they do grow lifetime. Okay, they do grow lifetime, and this could be a very important MCQ. Okay, that we grow up to certain age only and plants grow lifetime. Clear? So what is the conclusion that you have right now? Okay, this is the conclusion came at the end, was that all living grow. Right, all living grows. Okay, all livings grow. But that is one problem. So what happened, that I went to this trekking. I love that. Okay. And after 4 years, I went to the same place. Okay. So when I went there, I saw difference in the height of the mountain. Okay. From the last time, I saw that there is a difference in height. The height has been increased. The mass has been increased. How? So see what happens now, all the materials around that are going to come up on the surface of this mountains, and because they come to surface, it is going to be accumulation of that material, and because of that, these mountains are going to grow. But you may say, ma'am, that is a non-living thing. Yes, this non-living thing also grows, right? So now that is a problem. Because how can you say that it is going to differentiate between living and non-living? Because non-living things also grow. So see, this growth can be a good characteristic to differentiate between the living and non-living, but you cannot take it as a defining property of the, which is a surety that if growth is happening only living, because not only living grow, non-living things also grows, right? So that is why it is only a characteristic. The second characteristic which we are going to talk about is called as reproduction. Okay, so let me write it very properly here. So let me just write it here. The second one is called as reproduction. Okay, let me take a good color. Yes. Okay, yes, good color. Reproduction. Now this is something you may have heard about, that what could be a reproduction. So a living who is able to give birth to another living, okay, that particular person is, or living thing is able to reproduce, and that is what we call as reproduction. Okay, reproduction, reproducing something. What? Something means, okay, the progeny, the offspring of that particular thing. Here, yes, only living can do that. Okay, you say, okay, this is something interesting. Now, no non-living can reproduce. Like what you saw in growth, that non-livings can also grow. Here that is not going to be case. You just be a little bit happy. Okay, but let's just go further. So this reproduction are divided into two form. We know that one is in a unicellular, like unicellulars. Okay, they go for a reproduction called as asexual reproduction. Okay, where there is no need of a partner. Okay, one living is enough, and they can produce another living beings. For example, you take an example of a yeast, okay, hydra, or you take the example of you can say bacterias, right? See, this bacteria go for a binary fission, right? What is binary fission? One cell divides into two. This is called it as a binary fission. The same thing which happens in us in the case of cell division, remember? Okay, so these are some example of a unicellular. But when you go to like multicellular, okay, what happens in multicellular? So, okay, in multicellular there is a sexual reproduction. So kind of a opposite of unicellular. All the animals and some, you can say, higher plants do go for a sexual reproduction, where there is a need of a two partners. Okay, not one but two partners are going to come together and form a progeny. Clear? So this reproduction is something, okay, fine, only livings can do that. You are very much right. But can all livings do that? Can you heard my question? Can all livings do that? No. For example, working bees. Right? You may have heard of working bees. Or you can take example of, you can say some infertile humans. Okay, now what is infertile humans? You may have seen that some couple are not able to produce a progeny. Okay, they are not able to give birth to a child. But are they non-living? No, we can see them. They are breathing, they are walking, they are doing all the other things which living can do, even this bees also. Okay, so you cannot say because they are not reproducing, they are non-living. So here the case is that it is not necessary, remember, not necessary that all living are going to do that. So again, reproduction can only be a good characteristic to differentiate between the living and non-living, but not a defining property, because only livings can do that, yes, but not all livings can do that. Okay, so this was the two characteristics which we talk about. Another two are there. You may say, ma'am, you said yes, they are going to help us to differentiate. None of the two actually helps us to differentiate. What we are going to do? So relax. We have another characteristic which we are going to talk about in our next lecture. Till then, I hope you got the lecture. Let's just have a quick review of that. We start with a living world. What is the difference between living and non-living? How can you differentiate? The very first characteristic was growth, okay, in which you talk about that there is an increase in mass and number. Plant grow up to certain age. Animal grows up to certain age. Plant grows lifetime. All livings grow, but not only livings grow, non-livings also grow. For example, this mountains. Okay. Then we went for this reproduction, in which this is a process where one living is going to give birth to another one, but only livings can do. Yes, unicellular and multicellular are the type of reproduction. These are some example, but non-livings cannot do. But can only livings do that? So no. Okay, not all livings are going to go for a reproduction. Some cannot. These are the examples. So I hope you got this lecture clear. And in next lecture we are going to talk about some another characteristic. Till then, stay tuned and bye.